Good evening. How are you? Well, this is going to be a stand-in talk because we've had near 100-degree heats all day. We've had thunder, lightning, rain showers, and it's raining right now as I'm standing on the edge of a deck at my place. The Thomas Jefferson has not helped us that much today, although I hope it'll be continue to be cooler tomorrow, and that would be nice. So why am I talking? Well, it's the same reason I talk every evening. I have reactions to things that I think you might get a kick out of. I have bugs all around me, by the way. And tonight I thought, Kamala Harris and Tim Walz are very interesting to watch. I mean, I'll talk about the content in a moment. But think about how they just seem to be, I don't, they're witnessing each other's excellence and smiling and happy and cheering them on. Now, just for a second, can you imagine anything like that on the Republican side? Can you imagine Trump being that way with anybody, and that he meant it? And, it's hard to read people, maybe, sometimes. But I get the feeling that this is the perfect time for both of these people to be taking on this humongous, historic role in advancing our republic further down the road into the future with something much more worthy than would be the alternative with the Trump minions, because these two people believe in the future. So let me go over a couple of things. And you know my theory about magic moments. There are magic moments that seem to encapsulate an entire event. It could be an event that goes on for weeks or months, but there's like one instance that captures it. And I thought that there were two that they did in the interview, and I'll go into other things, but the two in the interview that struck me was Tim Walz responding to questions about his son's exuberance at his dad running for the vice president of the United States. And the interesting thing was the return of the affection from the father to the son and the reaction to the questions he was getting. Now, it's not often that you have two special moments, but they parsed out to each of these two worthy people who are running for office. In the case of Kamala Harris, it was her niece. And I hate the word iconic, but there was this powerful picture looking at the rear of her young niece with her hair dangling in silhouette, looking forward at the stage and seeing Kamala Harris speaking. Now, there wasn't a word said in her speech at the Democratic convention about race or gender as to her. And she was asked a question during the CNN interview about what Trump says about her becoming black. And she just slipped the punch and pushed it aside, wouldn't comment on it. In other words, it doesn't matter my color, it doesn't matter any of these things. Am I worthy of the office? Can I do the job? But they asked her as well, what did she think of her niece? Did she have any questions afterwards? And she just made a facial expression like there was a lot she had to talk about. These are two people that I don't know, they just came out of nowhere in a way in terms of individually and as a partnership. And this will be one of those things that people will write from years afterwards. And I'm hoping and I believe, and I think if we continue to work, the story will be two people came together, believed so much in each other and the nation and what they could do and wanting to make a difference. And they won the presidency and the vice presidency. And it was the end of the scorched earth policy of Trump and his out for myself minions. Now, during the conversation, she was talked about a number. She was asked about a number of things, and of course, she had the laboring oar as the head of the ticket. And what I observed was her comfort level, particularly in those matters of reform. And the Bucks really figured out where I am now. And I thought that when they asked her about certain things, fracking is an issue for me as well. And I have to say that, I feel very strongly against fracking, and among other things. And I assume any president that came into the White House, I would have some differences with. We all would. Occasionally, Holly and I even disagree. Well, she's a strong individual. She's got a lot of views, and it's not alien for us to convert each other or to add, some insight about what's going on to each other by the fact that we discuss it. And I think that I have the feeling that these two people are closer to that kind of a paradigm than anything we could ever expect from the Trump and the Republicans. So, so they asked her about it, and she said her thinking had changed, and I thought she felt uncomfortable. But when you saw her at her best, I mean, another good example is dissecting what she's doing on the Sunday that she has the conversation with Biden. And she had family over, and they were having pancakes, and they were going to play games and things like that. And she got the phone call, and she spoke to Biden. And they asked her, and they had two questions about it. And she was asked, what did she say to him? And she said to Biden, and this is as unambitious as any person in these stratospheric career days could be. She asked Biden, was he sure about this? Now that's very telling. And then she was asked if she spoke for herself. In other words, asked if she could be his successor. And she said two things. She said it was all about him. And the other thing was that she didn't have any doubt what it was. And so what I saw there, and we could talk and dissect the rest of the interview, but looking for the difference that matters in leaders, I saw her relationship with Biden and Biden's relationship with Obama, and the relationship that it seems to me is already developed between our incoming president and Tim. And that is the kind of emotional and rational glue that can hold together an administration through the toughest and roughest of times. And that's what we need. We need an America on the move. And Tim said it at one point, and it was, why can't we be like this all the time? And Kamala said, I think we should have a Republican in the administration. Now, in my own history, I have been appointed by, especially in my younger years, by a number of Republicans for the positions I held as a law clerk, as an assistant U.S. attorney, as special counsel on the Senate side. And those appointments were all by Republicans. And that was a day in which it didn't, well, I was young, of course, and so the sense of, keeping a Democrat out of office, although I was visible in my beliefs even then. And I had friends who wondered how Republicans could appoint me, and I said they just wanted people who could do the job well. That changed over time. And by the time I was working on the House side on several positions and investigations, there was no longer a time for governing as compared to a time of campaigning. There was only campaigning. And so what I hear in these two fine citizens, these people who've given their life to public service, and Kamala makes the point of saying, that I am the representative of the state, of the people, and that's who she's represented, and that's who she's going to continue to represent. Well, I think that it's not so much that she made that choice as how she's done it. And I think what she's done is amazing and deserving of our support and our vote. So that's what I've got. My shoulders are now a little wetter, and I have bugs in my ears, I think. So I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Maybe it won't be raining, maybe there won't be lightning and thunder, and maybe it won't be 100 degrees. So thanks for joining me. Talk to you tomorrow. Bye-bye.